to talk about the anti-diabetic drug metformin today, also known as glucophage. This drug is for type 2 diabetics. It's an anti-diabetic drug. It's in a class of drugs called the biguanides, and it's been pretty popular topic for bodybuilding community, anti-aging community, etc. You might have heard things that it might cause carb loading to have a better effect. It could cause fat loss or maybe muscle growth. A lot of things have been said about it. However, throughout research, what I've gathered is not even scientists and the researchers know the exact definitive mechanisms of action of why it does some of the cool things and some of the negative things that it does. So we're going to talk about some things to consider whenever thinking about incorporating this product. Now, on to the good. The way metformin works is through inhibiting mitochondrial respiration. Now, when it inhibits mitochondrial respiration, that's great for metabolism and fat oxidation. It does this through stimulating something called AMPK, or adenosine monophosphate protein kinase. And AMPK has been known as, whenever it's promoted in a supplement or something, is exercise in a bottle. You know, you can take AMPK and it does all these cool things at rest. Glucose uptake, it causes a glycogen preservation effect, etc. AMPK is awesome, sounds amazing. Exercise in a bottle, who wouldn't love that? There's a negative side to it, of course. Now here's the negative side. Negative side for AMPK is anything that stimulates AMPK. AMPK will then has been shown to inhibit anabolic processes and cell growth. That's a big red flag for anyone that's interested in utmost muscle mass accrual, especially natural athletes that rely on their endogenous testosterone production, their pituitary for natural IGF-1 production. They want anabolic processes intact and cell growth intact. On the flip side, it's great for anti-aging people that are cancer preventative, that want to be, or that have cancer in their bloodline, that want to prevent it. Decreasing cell growth is wonderful. Decreasing anabolism is wonderful for cancer-prone people. That's a plus side. Now, for someone that's enhanced, you're using androgens, you're using exogenous growth hormone, you might not really need to pay too much mind to that, negative side effects, but it will have some type of a factor in there. Now, a cool thing about metformin, onto some positive things, is that it was shown in a study, a side-by-side study with troglycoside, another biguanide class drug for anti-diabetic purposes. Troglycoside was shown to cause whole body glucose disposal. That's great. Awesome for type 2 diabetics. Whole body glucose disposal means that it disposes of glucose or nutrients in the muscle cell and fat cell, whole body. Like I said, great. But metformin on the flip side was just shown to favor muscle cell glucose uptake, not fat cells. That's wonderful. It did this from inducing transporter 4 proteins, or GLUT4 transporter proteins, in muscle cells and not fat cells. Whereas troglycoside showed the translocation of GLUT4 transporter proteins in fat cells and muscle cells. Not good. So that is a really awesome thing that I found that metformin has been shown to do. That's something that every bodybuilder or someone that buys supplements or whatever, we want. That's phenomenal, to just favor muscle tissue. And that's another thing I want to talk about, is metformin could be, I'm going to say everything's just my opinion, it could be better than using a glucose disposal agent over the counter. And often people buy these herbal or mineral complexes that, they'll take the supplement company will take the bullet points and be like, it'll cause, body recomposition effects, it'll cause glycogen synthase, it'll do all these awesome things to make you recomp and stay lean. But what they fail to mention, of course, is that the studies haven't been shown to differentiate between fat cells and muscle cells, but they're just showing the muscle cell benefit of it. So I've never seen a mineral or an herb definitively, like I did with that glutformin study, to show priority in the muscle cell. So that's an awesome thing for metformin to consider. Another thing to consider would be that it does, and going back to the negatives, it does lower mTOR stimulation, or inhibits mTOR stimulation, which also coincides with a lower response to IGF-1 receptor synthase. That's not good. So you're lowering mTOR as well, which, if anybody knows anything about mTOR, is stimulated from leucine and branched chain amino acids for the most part, and that's imperative for growth. But once again, going back to anti-cancer, preventative medicine, that could be a great thing for people with bad genes in that department for cancer. So Metformin is a pretty versatile product. I actually used to use it back in the day whenever I used to practice targeted ketogenic diets, cyclic ketogenic diets, etc., where I would have my cheat meal or my cheat day and I want to get back into a low insulin environment. So I take metformin before bed to lower my insulin, get my blood glucose in check, so I'm burning fat by morning cardio the next morning back into my ketogenic type phase. Also, pre-contest, metformin can be used to blunt appetite. It has an appetite suppressing effect. That's a great thing whenever you're starved pre-contest, but you got to be careful with the dose and just go up slow. I know there's tabs that are 500 milligrams, there's 1,000 milligrams, 850, I believe. Start at like 250 because it could cause some gastrointestinal distress, but it could be a great a savior, in fact, for pre-contest people that just have a ravenous appetite and that, you know, will pig out. So metformin could stall you or save you from pigging out and ruining your diet. That's pretty much it on metformin. I mean, it's a cool drug. There's a lot of pros, but there's some cons you got to consider. And, you know, next time you think about using it, maybe refer to this video and decide for yourself.